For those of you who don't know, Thunderbirds was a TV show that debuted back in 1965 and told the story of International Rescue, a secret organisation manned by the 5 Tracy brothers and their fantastic rescue vehicles, the Thunderbirds. With these machines, the Thunderbirds would rescue people from danger all across the world and often have to stop the dastardly plans of the evil Hood at the same time. The brainchild of Gerry Anderson, creator of other classic TV shows like Supercar, Fireball XL5, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90 and of course Stingray, it was filmed with puppets using super marionation and blew audiences at the time away with its out-of-world special effects. Helping to save the world alongside the 5 Tracy brothers and their Thunderbird machines was Lady Penelope Crichton Ward and her ever-suffering yet loyal butler Aloysius Nosy Parker, driver of the fabulously equipped FAB-1. FAB-1 was a futuristic Rolls-Royce equipped with a vast array of extras including front and rear machine cannons, rear harpoon cables, 2 rear laser cannons, a rear view TV camera, bulletproof tyres, a modified gas turbine engine, skis for snow use and hydrofoils for water travel. It was also bright pink. Unfortunately, FAB-1 was presumed destroyed, spoiler alert, after Skyship 1 crashed to the ground at the end of the second feature-length movie, Thunderbirds 6. This was the last Thunderbirds project to be made of the original 1960s run after failure to sell the show to a US network. However, in the 90s and early 2000s, Thunderbirds experienced a huge resurgence of popularity, especially in the UK, with BBC Two rerunning the original show multiple times throughout the decades, with rumours of a 3rd movie appearing now and again. However, when Thunderbirds did finally return to the silver screen in 2004, one of the defining features of the film, alongside that it was live action and bared little resemblance to the original series, was the fact that it featured a full-size version of FAB-1. However, unlike its model counterpart, this FAB-1 was made by Ford specially for the film's production and was a fully working vehicle able to carry its passengers in both style and comfort.
So, I ask you, is I bling?
In fact, it was completely road legal with a 7.4 litre 8-cylinder engine with space for 2 and measured in at a staggering 27 feet long, the same length as a Routemaster bus. Sadly though, it did not come with its own Parker. However, despite starring in a complete box office disaster of a film, many, including myself, remember the excitement of seeing a real FAB-1 for the first time. Except, it was about 40 years too late. Let me explain. Back in 1968, Thunderbirds was at the height of its popularity, and following the completion of the series and first film, creators Gerry and Sylvia Anderson were hard at work on the second feature-length film, Thunderbirds 6. The first film, Thunderbirds Are Go, had released in 1966, 1 year after the series' first broadcast, and whilst initially popular with audiences, it ended up receiving lacklustre reviews. This was in spite of the fact it depicted scenes of Cliff Richard exploding. Despite this failure, United Artists, the film's backers, decided to give Anderson another go, and 2 years later, Thunderbirds 6 would hit the silver screen. In order to drum up publicity for the film, it was decided that both Gerry and Sylvia would be ferried to the premiere in a specially made life-size replica of Lady Penelope's FAB-1, a damn sight easier than turning a Lightning jet into Thunderbird 1. However, instead of turning to Rolls-Royce, this FAB-1 would be built by Toby Baxter Contracts in Bedfordshire under Sylvia's watchful eye, eventually coming in at the cost of £11,000, over £160,000 today. Despite the fact that it was supposed to be a luxury vehicle for a secret agent, the car was based on a 6-wheeled Bedford VAL coach chassis, housing a Bedford 3-litre 6-cylinder petrol engine, supposedly capable of 150 miles per hour. It's entirely possible that you'd recognise the Bedford VAL from one of its numerous media appearances, including the original Italian job, the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour, and, for the older generation, the final Coronation Street episode to air in black and white. Amongst the variety of work taken to make Fab 1 a reality was the widening of the VAL's axles in order to make it wide enough for the custom angular fiberglass and filler bodywork. This bodywork was then mounted to a steel framework made especially for the car and sat atop Land Rover wheels. Measuring in at over 22 feet long and over 8 feet wide, the entire car weighed in at just over 3 tons. In order to recreate the fabulous glass bubble for the passenger compartment, specially moulded perspex was used, which to allow access could raise and lower vertically on motors, with doors on either side of the car folding out and under in order to create a step. The bubble provided ample room for the occupants, with space for 2 at the rear, with Parker sitting on his own in the middle up front. For Fab 1's famous radiator grille, Rolls-Royce were not just going to cough up one of their own. In fact, let's put a pin in that for now, so a custom one was made and fitted on a slight forward-leaning angle. The slats in the radiator were made to be able to rotate and reveal a hidden replica machine gun, just like in the TV show. The aluminium bumpers, which had been made specially for the car, featured rotating number plates that, alongside carrying the registration Fab 1, also carried the car's actual number plate CPP1F. This was because at the time, the actual Fab 1 was a white Jaguar XJ6. However, when it came to actual gadgets fitted to the car, this is when it really started to shine. The car had a public address system fitted for its public appearances, and radically for the time, a television mounted in the dashboard, which could receive broadcast signals via 2 rear-mounted aerials. The television could also display what was behind you thanks to a CCTV camera mounted inside the boot, looking out for a small glass lens just below the boot lid. Once completed, the car finally made its public debut on May 29, 1968 at Woburn Abbey, alongside model Penny Snow masquerading as Lady Penelope. 1 month later, the car would appear on BBC's Blue Peter, where Valerie, John and Peter would not only show off some of the gadgets, but also its silk smooth door mechanisms. After its TV appearance, the car would later embark on a promotional tour across the country, along which it would visit the AA's HQ in Guildford, being adorned with one of their iconic badges, before getting ready for its premiere work. On the night of 29th of July 1968, the premiere of Thunderbirds 6 was to be held at the Leicester Square Odeon in London, with both Jerry and Sylvia Anderson being chauffeured there in Fab 1. However, after only a few hundred yards of the very trip it was built to complete, Fab 1 inadvertently broke down, leaving Jerry and Sylvia forced to complete the journey to the premiere by a taxi. This breakdown left not only the Andersons unimpressed, but also Rolls-Royce, who for some time had made attempts to buy Fab 1 and destroy it. In fact, they had been successful in having a genuine Rolls-Royce radiator grille, which had been sourced from a donor car, removed and the custom replica one put in its place. Following this disastrous premiere, Fab 1 is known to have appeared as a static event at motor shows before finally ending up at Heathfield Wildlife Park in the mid-1970s. It was here that it was placed on display for some time, before eventually falling into disrepair and being left in a barn. It is at this time that we now need to talk about Peter Nelson, owner of the former Cars of the Stars Motor Museum in Cumbria. Peter had managed to track down Fab 1 to Heathfield in 1989, and despite its rather dilapidated state managed to outbid both the manager of the Bee Gees and Lord Montague of Bewley to buy it from the owner. Thanks to years of disregard, the car required a full restoration before it could be shown to the public a year later. And in order to complete this, Peter commissioned Mellow Coachcraft of Rochdale, a minibus coach builder, to carry out the restoration, this time with a genuine Rolls-Royce radiator grille. Finally, in 1990, the car appeared as one of the stars of the Great British Car Rally, where a representative from Rolls-Royce appeared in order to purchase the car from Peter, to which he declined. After the end of the rally, the car found itself at its new home at the Cars of the Stars Motor Museum in Keswick in Cumbria. For over 20 years, FAB1 had a home where it could be seen and admired by the public, until finally, in May 2011, Cars of the Stars closed its doors, and the fate of FAB1 was once again thrust into uncertainty. However, its fate was quickly decided when 1 month later, 100 cars from the collection were purchased by American car collector Michael Deezer in order to display at his own motor museum in Florida. This museum actually houses over 600 cars from across the world, including, rather amazingly, 2 Williams microcars. If you don't understand my excitement, click the link at the top of the video. Today, the original real FAB1 rests its wheels at the Orlando Auto Museum, with its 2004 counterpart resting at the British Motor Museum in Gaydon. And as for Rolls-Royce, well, the FAB1 number plate did end up on a pink Rolls-Royce in 2013 in the name of charity, after former Radio 2 DJ and Jeremy Clarkson impersonator Chris Evans brought it for a staggering £75,000. After this, the FAB1 number plate was sold on and its current whereabouts are unknown. And if after watching all of this you're left wondering why Thunderbirds 6 was a commercial failure, let this clip settle any queries that you may have had. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day. I'll see myself out.